So let's get into what is the real reason that our relationships aren't working, like how it used to, years ago when our grandparents were together for 50 years and more.
Well, I guess that's one thing you could really question straight off. Was it any better for our grandparents? Did they stay together for 50 years for reasons other than pure love? And, the further back you go, and you realize that marriage was really more of a social or a societal contract for survival and security. It wasn't so much to do with love. But of course, in today's world, we have these much higher expectations about what a marriage should be. We don't just want someone to have children with and have a nice, comfortable life. We want someone to love and to love us and to really have a passionate, exciting, intimate life journey with. So our expectations are so much higher. And I think that's one of the reasons why many people end their relationship, is because it's not meeting their expectations. So if we come down to the question, so I think that's one reason why relationships are ending. And you really have to ask yourself, actually, is it such a bad thing? Why is it we have this belief, this expectation that you have to stay in a relationship for all your life, and if you don't stay in it, or if it somehow doesn't last, then you're the problem. It's your fault. You're a failure. You've done something wrong. You haven't worked at it hard enough. So where have we got all these ideas from? Well, again, it's all come from ideas and expectations, a lot of it through the media, that, when you're successful, when you can look back on your life and say, I've overcome all these problems in my relationship and I have a wonderful relationship, and here I am on the porch with my grandchildren around me and life is wonderful. That's not reality, but it's an image and an expectation that we've all been, drilled into our mind through watching films and the media to tell us that's the way we should live. But is that really a realistic or even a good thing? Because if two people are no longer in love with each other, well, they're simply not in love with each other. It's a little bit like, sometimes I say things to people like, well, have you had more than one job in your life? I said, yeah, I've had a few. Okay, so you were working in a job and you went into that job with high expectations and you gave it of your best and you really wanted it to work out. But after a while, you realized it was no longer working out for you, and you're putting in all this effort, and you just thought, this is no longer right for me. It's not helping me. It's not me being at my best. It's not helping the other people around me. I'll just go and get another job. Now, you don't do that and say to yourself, I'm a failure for leaving that job and going and getting another one. You just say, it was no longer right for me. I did my best. It was great at the time. I learned a lot. I helped other people. I made a difference, but it's no longer right for me. But somehow with relationships, we've got this into our head that if it's no longer right for us, then there's something wrong with us and we need to make it right. And sometimes that's just not possible. It's not realistic, and it's not fair on anybody. And it really doesn't bring out the best in the people involved.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say to a couple or someone who may be struggling with their marriage for whatever reason, that they've tried and they realize, okay, it's not going to work, but we have kids? Because a lot of people stay together because of, especially young kids, they stay together for the kids, right? What would you say to someone like that?
Well, the reason people stay together because of the children is, or should I say, staying together because of the children is one of a number of reasons why people stay in a relationship that they really shouldn't stay in. And the reason they stay is because of this big thing, and it's really it comes down to the topic, the real cause of all problems. And that reason that they stay and that creates all the problems is fear. They're afraid of what they think might happen to their children if they split up. So because they've read all these stories about, children who come from broken homes, they end up a mess, and their lives don't work out well, and we're not setting a good example to our children, and it's really going to be harmful to if we split up. But all of the research, and certainly all of my experience too, working with people in various situations, and as you know, I do a lot of work and have done a lot of work with couples and relationships. all of the research and everything that I've seen shows that in reality, two parents not living together or breaking up and therefore not living together does not have a negative effect on the children per se. What has a negative effect is the attitude of those two people, of the two parents. And often there are many, many children who are far more harmed when they're brought up by two parents who aren't in a happy, loving relationship, where there's conflict in the home, and where they can feel that the two parents just aren't getting on. But the really big reason why, and this is why I want to talk about what I really would say to people who are considering divorce or splitting up, but they're worried about the effect it might have on their children. Your children are going to be fine if you are fine. And think about this. If one of your children was in your situation, say if you had a child who's 10 or 11 years age, imagine they're 20 years older or 10 years older, and they come to you and say, Dad or Mum, you know, I'm in this marriage and I'm not happy, but I'm worried about the effect that it might have on our children. Or I don't know what to do. I don't know what's going to happen to me or happen in the future. Now, what you would say, the advice you would give to your children, if they were one of your children, if they're in that situation, is don't be afraid. Don't be worried. You are a great person. Your life will turn out great. You know, okay, this didn't work out for you. You've made mistakes. Your husband or wife has made mistakes. That's life. But you're still a good person, and you'll find someone else who'll be even better for you. And don't worry about your children, because what your children want more than anything is for you to be happy. And when they see that you are being happy and you're not being held back by your fears, that's the example, that's the lesson you're going to teach them about how they should live their life. Don't be afraid. Don't worry about what other people think. You are the most important. You are a special person and you deserve the best. And if you're not experiencing the best where you are, you need to be honest and move on.